Wow. Isn't it amazing that we can talk more easily about the bad stuff in our country rather than the good stuff? Well, that's our case. Colombia, the land of inequity. So today, as I already said, we're going to talk about the inequality in Colombia, if you know what I mean. But before that, I gotta let you know some about how this happened. So let's go back to the beginning. So the inequality was born, or better say, it exploded in our first independence in 1810. But despite that, and our true independence that was in August 7th in 1819, in that interval of time between the first and the last, around 9 civil wars happened. This without counting the massive numbers of massacres that occurred caused by the iniquity of land or ideology. And here is the birth of our country, the country of inequality, Colombia.
Well, as my friend said, the inequality is one of the main problems of our country or our daily lives. Certainly, we can see it in a daily life, like in our neighborhoods. In this case, as you can see, we have one of the richest neighborhoods. It's called Palmas. And now you can see one of the normal ones. Can see the difference? Then, if you see the one of the poorest ones, it's a big difference, isn't it? Well, it's our daily life. Seeing this, it's basically a normal fact of our lives.
After talking about neighborhoods, we have to talk about statistics. Right here, we have a graphic taken from Daniel. It displays that how poverty affects the other population. So going deeply, we have to talk about the classes. Right here, we have the high class. Yeah. Right here, you have the middle class and the vulnerable class. This high percentage is part of the poor class. Yeah. These two are basically the same, but this population is being highly in extreme so to be part of this population. Yeah. After that, we have to talk about how the economic is distributed. Yeah. Right here, the around the 7% of the population of the high class has basically the 80% of the economy in Colombia. That's a high number, isn't it? And the 20% is distributed in this three.
So, thanks Lopez for the explanation. We're going to talk about why does this happen, right? So, you may see here that, as my friend already said, this is really illegal. And why? There's only one word about this. It is social inequity. And I'm gonna explain it like this, right? So, the government have always focused their eyes on the most important places in Colombia. Maybe we talk about, Medellin, Bogota, the important places. What about the other? What about the other half? Let's talk, for example, about the Pacific coast. The government doesn't focus their eyes on there. So because of that, there's a lot of corruption in those places. A lot of money goes to the rich people, and this part of the population are just getting richer, while the poor are just getting more poor. You know what I mean? So people who get poor have to recur to other ways to survive. Let's talk, for example, about slang, selling drugs in the street. Not because they want to, it's because they need to. Some of them will go do crime in the street, rob someone, maybe kill him, because they need to, as I already said. Or some of them will just go and roll with a gorilla just to survive. And these just are some examples about why people are getting more poor and rich are just getting more rich. And government doesn't seem to have a solution on this. So if we're gonna look into the future, the bridge between high class and low class and middle class is gonna be really awful. And And this is gonna convert into a problem really soon.
Talking about inequality is also talking about the quality of education. Right now, in Colombia, the difference between the private and public education is kind of big. The government doesn't contribute to the better quality of it. Nowadays, in Colombia, the inequality contributes to the big gap between the private and public education. This also helps that every single day that gap expand its power of marginalization and discrimination.
Which is violence. So, in simple words, the fundamental cause of violence in Colombia has been the inequitable distribution of land, which on the world stage is one of the most unequal. At this point, the policies of the Colombian state have moved in two directions. Either they have been wrong, or they were maliciously conceived to benefit a minority, to the detriment of a peasant conglomerate. That clumsiness or this insanity have had a clear violent expression that perhaps with long-term public development can be stopped. And now we're gonna move on to the conclusion.
So now that I was thinking about how to solve this problem, I end up with a conclusion. You know, I was thinking about some like reconnect with the reality. Bring schools opportunities to people who are not in the center of attention, if I can say like that. Bring internet to these schools. Have these kids go to school and earn a good and free education. I think it's the main goal that we as a society, Colombia as a society, needs to reach. So these things like violence, poverty, and all those bad things that inequality brings can stop. And so we can do Colombia a land of really opportunity, diversity, and start develop. Saving a micro, cooler.